Hi, this is Laura Live, and I'm coming you from my car again. I had an appointment, and I wanted to make sure I was kind of late. Sorry, it's noon already. And today we're going to be talking about the default versus the active network in our brain. Now, we know that children on the autism spectrum, and that includes some children with Down syndrome, can be in their own world, or they're just not present, or they're completely spaced out, or whatever you want to say. They are not mentally here with us. They are somewhere else. And you can tell by the look on their face, sometimes by what they're saying, by them sometimes being clumsy, knocking into things. They're just intensely daydreaming. Why are they doing this? Well, we know from recent research now that people on the autism spectrum have an intense or an hyper-connected default network in your brain. In your brain, you've got two different networks. You have the default network and the active network. The default network is what we use for dreaming and daydreaming. The active network is when we use for we're awake and we are engaged in our surroundings. And you, as a neurotypical person, know what it's like, because let's say you're standing at your dishes, your sink, doing the dishes, lots and lot, and one of your children comes up and starts talking to you, and they sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. You hear wah 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 wah, and then they'll say to mom, and you wake up. Now you're already awake. You're standing up doing the dishes, but you wake up in here where you can go from daydreaming to paying attention to your child, and you feel that flip happened. You feel like, oh, I'm back, like you were gone somewhere, but you're back. That flip does not automatically happen with people on the autism spectrum. And again, I'm speaking in gross generalizations, because not every person with autism has this super hyper-connected default network, but the vast majority do. Let's just say the vast majority do. So we, as neurotypical people, can flip back and forth between daydreaming and active pretty at will. People with autism, especially when they're little, can't. They are stuck in the daydream all the time. And this is why they're notorious for unlearning things. So they'll be in a therapy session, and they'll master all the skills of that day, and yay, they got everything right. Come back the next day, forgot it all, like they never had it. It's because if you can imagine when you wake up from a dream, and you remember all this cool stuff that you saw in your dream. As the minutes go by, you start to lose it, and then pretty soon you forgot the whole dream altogether. So if you're learning everything in your daydream state, it's not sticking, you're not maintaining it, you're backsliding, you're going to lose it the next day. Unless you have a dream over and over and over and again. If you have your dream like 50 times, then you'll finally remember it. And that's why ABA has been working, because it's so much repetition that you finally just get it, because even though you're in a daydream, that much repetition, you're going to learn it anyway. So, another thing that being in a daydream state does is it makes you very fearful. So we know that a lot of people, there's research been done that I've talked to the researcher who did this, that 50% of what we consider to be sensory issues is really fear. So, if you're in a dream, dreams are scary because you're walking through a dream and things are weird. They're coming at you from all angles, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you can't anticipate in a dream because random stuff happens all the time. Well, that's the way the kids feel who are autistic in their daydream state, is that everything's kind of random and they can't anticipate, and it's scary. And so they will have meltdowns, and that's why they like routines. They don't like transitions. They like to know what's going to happen, where they're going to go, which way they're going to drive, because they need to be able to anticipate something so nothing scary happens. Again, do I have proof about all of this? Well, I do have proof about the hyperconnected default network. We know that. But you just have to put it all together, use your common sense. Oh my gosh, I do that. I'm spaced out. I can't remember things with dreams. Oh, my son does all these things. So it's my common sense putting it all together. And I have not had one person say, you're wrong. Everybody, when they hear it, go, that sounds right. That sounds about right. Well, we can with Gemini. The way Gemini is filmed, it kind of wakes the child up every few frames so that the knowledge that's coming in from Gemini gets deposited in their active network. And we have research that was actually published about a year ago. One of the professors was the head of the Department of Psychology from Princeton on this, using Gemini for adults. And these are adults who had not been maintaining their gains over their life. So these are people who I told you, you taught them something, and then the next day they forgot it. Then they forgot it, or not gone. And you have to constantly reteach them the same things over and over again. Using Gemini, they were able to teach them, and then 3 months later, after they stopped the intervention, they still maintained their goals, their gains at 100%. So we were able to teach the active network. Now, how do we do that? Well, you know what this feels like, because let's say you're watching a movie. Movies also pull you into your default network, and this is where you get lost in a movie, and you're there. You're in the movie. You're not in your chair anymore. You are in that movie, just like you are when you're daydreaming. And this is why children on the autism spectrum specifically love videos, and they like to watch the same video over and over again because it pulls them further and further into that default network where they like to be. But we don't want them there. We want them to wake up, because they can't have an independent life if they're lost in a daydream their whole lives. They can't. We have to do things for them because they're not here. They're somewhere else. So by watching a movie, if you ever watched a movie and you're lost in the movie, and then all of a sudden there's a really bad actor that just comes on the screen and starts talking, and you kind of wake up. You think, oh, this isn't real. This is just a movie. And you feel that, that feeling that you have when you see a bad actor. Gemini, it's kind of an annoying feeling. It's a really annoying feeling, actually. Gemini does that all the time. Poor kids, so they're watching Gemini. But it inserts that bad actor feeling all the time, so you kind of wake up. And so while you're watching the videos, you're in your active state, and that's why you stay and you retain the information. And this is one of the reasons why, a third of the kids or so don't like Gemini, because they love video to pull them into their default network, and they know that it's not doing it. They know that it's annoying, that it's waking them up. Oh, this is so annoying. It's waking you up. But we need them. This is tough love. Now, some of the kids, we can compensate for that annoyingness by adding in some of the fun Gemini videos, like the Little Luke videos and the Wee Wendy videos, and some things that our kids really like. Whoops. So you can compensate for that funny feeling by adding in the fun videos that they like. One trick that I love is, yours an upload your own video. And you can do the funny Snapchats on your phone and take videos of mom sticking her tongue out like a big dog and with ears twinkling and looking like a deer and all this stuff. And the kids are looking and going, wow, that's really cool. You could take a 15-second video on Snapchat, save it, upload it to your Gemini session, and insert it in your sessions. So, and don't let your kids ever see that Snapchat app. I'll say that 30 times fast. And put it in their sessions. Well, they'll watch that because I want to see mom look like a deer again. They're going to watch an 8-minute session just to see that deer face again, So that's ways you can get them. You can create, say, 5 or 10 of them, put them in your My Sessions on Gemini, and they're always there then. So it takes you it would probably, to me, to create 10 of those silly Snapchat things, put them in My Session, would probably take me, half an hour. Maybe 15 minutes. And then for all eternity, I have those in my sessions, and I can add them to my session for my child. So that's something that you could do that will get them if they really hate that waking up feeling. And it's the ones who really, really get annoyed with Gemini, and they'll screaming, no! Those are the ones who are the most annoyed, and they're usually the ones who need it the most. They're usually the ones who like video the most. And they're like, not this stupid video, it doesn't let me zone out. It's not giving me my fix, So if you add in that little Snapchat thing, they'll be enthralled enough. All right, so that's the default network versus the active network, and Gemini is the only thing that I know of that can teach the kids active network. Actually, what you want to do on top of Gemini to encourage them staying in their active network is you want to keep them awake and where they are not allowed to zone out and go into their daydream. So what are those kinds of things? Anything that keeps you off balance. You can't be off balance if you're in a daydream. So you'll fall down. So balance boards, pogo sticks, remote control car, trampolines are good at first, but once they're good at it, they can actually start jumping until they just zone out. Balance boards, a 2x4 that they have to walk across. This is why so much of the OT is so helpful, because during OT and during PT, you are in your active network because you fall down if you don't. So swimming, some kids who are really just locked in their default network, and you'll know usually if kids are stimming, they're in their default network. If they're scripting, they're in their default network. So if you've got a kid who scripts or stims constantly all day, you've got a very, very powerful default network, and you want to get him out of that by waking him up as much as possible. We've had great luck with parents who've had these kinds of kids snap out of it. Literally, like you say someone to snap out of it, literally by just keeping them active every waking moment for a month where they do not have any downtime, just to get that active network really installed and in place. I think swimming is everyone's favorite because the other stuff can be sort of exhausting. This is why sunrise can be so effective, and people talk about it so effective, is because you're really just distracting the kid all day long from their default network until finally, and you'll hear people from sunrise talking about how he's so much more better eye contact, so much more alert, he's so much more awake. It's because you're just constantly playing with them. The problem with sunrise is that it's so much play, you don't have time to do a lot of teaching, and that's why if you pair it with Gemini, it's a perfect fit. PRT, people ask me what's the best therapy for this. PRT is a very interactive, and it's fabulous. It's now where all ABA is moving into this. You're pretty much just playing with the child and then try and teach, but you add more teaching into it. It's kind of like sunrise with more direct, intentional teaching inserted every once in a while. It's very similar to that, and the way you're like constantly. It's exhausting for the therapists, either one of those, because you just have to be so active all the time, and that's why I tell parents, if you're exhausted, take them to the pool, or teach them how to swim really young, because if you zone out when you're swimming, you won't be able to be. So that's the case for them. All right. I will, let me see if I can answer these questions quickly so I get to the guys, but do you have any videos about no hitting? The hitting one we've been asked a lot, and it's difficult because we don't want to teach the kids to hit. And what happens with video modeling, sometimes they model the wrong thing. So we teach them, we have very specific way we have to do this. And I would want to ask, and we'll follow up in the comments, Elena, does your child know the prompt calm hands? Do they know what no hitting? They know the prompt no hitting. Do they know what that means? You say it to them. Or do you need to teach what it means? So you need the prompt. Video modeling is great to teach a prompt, but has behavior that follows that up with it. We can't teach him to not want to hit anymore. He's still going to want to do it. Now he's going to know that he's not supposed to. So we can teach him that he's not supposed to, but it's behavior intervention is going to teach him not to do it. And we have videos that will give him guides, like a calm hands video, sit nicely video, and he'll see kids, and maybe he'll be inspired because the other kids are doing it, and that's what we do all the time. But we're working on ways to do no hitting. Like we had a really hard time with adult toilet training, and we figured out how to do that. We have that now on the site, because how do you film that and not be X-rated? Well, we figured it out, and you can see it's on the site. So the same thing with hitting. So let us know in the comments here if your child understands the prompt no hitting, or do they have to learn that? My son has just this constant eye blink. It just seems to come from nowhere. No idea why. Lauren, he's probably stimming. Visual issues with autism is very, very common. And a lot of times they do things. And I think this is what's going on. This is my hypothesis. When you use two eyes together, there's a circle in the letter field that's three-dimensional. If you close one eye, you can even make your nose. You can see your nose on this side makes part of the circle. Close the other eye, your nose on this side makes part of the circle. So if you just close one eye, everything on this side is now, with your nose here blocking this side out, everything is now two dimensions over there. It's not three-dimensional. And so people with autism have a really tough time assimilating information in 3D. It's just too many data points, and it's hard to get it all in, and that's why one of the reasons why video modeling works so well to be put on 2D. And it's just like a camera. If you take a movie with a camera, a 3D movie with a camera, you have to have like rooms filled of old time when it used to be film. Film you take tons of data, where a 2D film is much less data, and it's your brain too. So he blinking, he may be playing with his depth perception between the 2D and 3D. Does he do a lot when he's looking at something? Does he turn his face so he's only looking out one eye at something? If he does that, I bet that's what he's doing. And that will go away once his active brain kicks in. And you just have to do those things I talked about, is really keeping him active all the time and using Gemini to teach him. All right. I really need help. I feel like my 13-year-old nonverbal autistic son has PTSD. Oh, he found his father dead last February. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Yeah. This is going to be beyond Gemini, and he's nonverbal. Does he have any language? Can he communicate? Does he understand? Can he not talk? Kimberly, why don't you email us, and we're going to get you in touch with the BCBA that works fast. I can give you some really pointed advice for you what to do, because there's so many questions on how much does your child understand and all that sort of thing. Does he have apraxia? Is that what you mean by nonverbal? Or he doesn't have any language? Is he using a communication device? Does he use Proloquo? Have you been using Gemini? How does he respond to Gemini? All this sort of things. We just started Gemini this week, and my son is already pointing at the pics. Woohoo! He doesn't speak, but you can tell that he is trying to say elephant and with his mouth closed, okay? He does have autistic tendencies. But I'm thinking he has apraxia. Okay. Yeah, if you're trying to say with his mouth closed, he probably has apraxia. But if you've heard about the apraxia protocol, start that right away. Seems to be blinking when he is processing something. Okay, thanks for the ideas. No, he uses a talker but has nightmares now. Is Gemini in the UK? Yes, Gemini is in the UK. To go to Gemini.org, and we have loads and loads of people in the UK using it. So he understands what you're saying. All right, Kimberly. Yeah, this is going to be beyond video modeling. This is going to be more talk therapy. I'm so sorry. I don't know where you live, but if you email us, we can maybe get you some in the right direction. He barely speaks, but understands where do I find your website? Oh, Kimberly, go to Gemini.org, and you can contact us through there. All right, I'm signing off. If you have any other questions, we'll constantly answer your questions here in the feed. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.